All right, what's up, y'all? There's a point to this. There's a point to the unconventionality of the locations that these videos are often filmed in. And the fact that there's an airport, like, probably a mile from here. But we'll talk about it, and I think that's the thing is, even though I'm talking about it, it might be kind of hard for you to hear me. This is In The Image Clothing Company, okay? I'll wait at least for this plane, but there's probably going to be a lot more that come through just as, this video progresses forth. And I just want it to be as real as it is, and I think there's a reason bigger than I even understand to film these videos kind of to where they're like not even all that great as far as the quality of the production of the video itself. As time progresses, we'll see. Okay, I'll explain more as time goes, because that's a lot of what these are, is documentations of In The Image Clothing Company. This is our main side. There are 4 sides to In The Image Clothing Company. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of our company name that I say so often, In The Image Clothing Company. Today's the 1st of December 2025. We make videos, and we always do so much under the gift of video. We've got hundreds and hundreds, somewhere around 1,000 videos combined with all 4 sides of In The Image Clothing Company as of today's date. A lot of them are documentations, and that's why it doesn't really matter all that much if it's kind of hard to hear me in a lot of these videos around this time. And if it's unconventional like this, sitting on a fence post, it's just what it is. Because a lot of what this is just me showing that this is our information, right? We can't own these things. Designed in the image of God, we can't actually own the information, but what we do with allowing the body to work here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, it's authentic to us, In The Image Clothing Company, where this information has come from, me as the founder, in this for life, Evan Strong. A lot of this is just personal experience, trial and error, prayer and revelation, a lot of these things that I've just kind of come across, tried, and learned about. We discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth, okay? That's why we're a clothing company, really, okay? Because we're designed in the image of God, Jesus Christ himself. We have 1/4 of us in the Image Clothing Company podcast, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. We're all the same human being, universal design, skeletal system wise, right? Placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. We just discuss him as he says that he is on In The Image Clothing Company podcast. We're on episode 183 as of last night. It's awesome. Okay, just insights on life, just life as it is. And life as it is, this is what I mean. The noise, the surrounding sounds, blunt, bold, raw, real, In The Image Clothing Company. We're not trying to be anything behind these videos that we're not just in real life, because we do events, okay? Poodle Parade events. On the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here, we allow the body to work through clothing, okay? Staying centered, fitting correct, and being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials, because the human body's natural. Okay, again, that's another reason for filming these videos outside. Sure, I could be inside where it's not so noisy, okay? And, whatever else, there's not people around and whatever else, okay? But I want it to be real. I want it to always be real. That's one of the things, right? Blunt, bold, raw, and real. This is In The Image Clothing Company. I'm in this for life. These are the foundational videos that I'm making the way that I'm making them intentionally. Okay? Praying through it, and this is how we're doing it. And the big thing is, our clothing is the only thing physically placed on us. That's really why we're a clothing company. Anything that clothes the human being is clothing the human being. The human body truly only has one way that it could ever work. It truly is physically, mechanically, actually impossible to train the human body to get it to do anything. Sounds crazy. With a lot of people in modern day doing stretching routines, workouts, diet plans, training the body in all sorts of ways, personal trainers, chiropractors, physical therapists, giving you exercises to do to try to strengthen part of your body. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Everything's there. It's all got a role to play, and it all has to play its role. No compensation can happen when everything has an individual different role than everything else. Okay? My clothing's used, okay, as of today's date, and up until, I'm not wearing In The Image Clothing Company designs in any of the videos up until at least today's date. the 1st of December, 2025, okay? But that's the thing, we give a lot of free modifications in clothing, and we always will, because you don't have to purchase In The Image Clothing Company clothing to allow your body to work. That would be nuts and just not true, right? It's God's design, the human body. Really, if we never placed anything on it, and we didn't live in this modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth, our bodies would just work. They're designed to work. So, free modifications are things like the dreaded collar seam modification. If there's a seam in the collar of our top, we do the same thing for dogs, okay? We need to keep collars centered. Human beings allowing the body to work, dogs letting dogs stay natural. Airplane noise. Spanish Fork, Utah. There's an airport. It is what it is. That's what I'm saying. It's good that they're slightly the way they are. Okay? They're just the way they are. Slightly noisy though, sometimes very noisy, these videos at this time period. But I'm in this for life. These are just some of the first documentations, okay, of what we're really doing here. So, letting dogs stay natural on In The Image Clothing Company poodles comes through keeping collars centered, leashes, harnesses, having these things fit the dogs correct, not altering the dogs, but eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything we do as a human being and as a dog, we just discuss how to do these things natural. The goal on all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company is natural, because natural, neutral, and normal are synonyms within the functioning of our bodies, both dogs and human beings. Naturally, there's a neutral position that the body would normally just be in, and it's about the skeletal system's positioning, because there's a center line to the human body and a center line to dogs. Okay, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw stabilizing the entire body. Dogs have the same things as us in those cases. We're just on Earth's gravity. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity is a video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. That's a lot of what we do as human beings, is just staying over the length of our feet that have arches that grip inward, opposing the center line and keeping us vertical on Earth's gravity. So much of what we do as a human being is just dealing with, accommodating with, working with, really against in a sense, but knowing how to work against gravity. We're being pulled down and our bodies have to hold themselves up. Okay? Yeah, there's only one way it happens. There's only one way the body works, because in addition to a center line of gravity and just the body, left to right, front to back, in our joints and our positioning of our body, like, you know, quote, keeping elbows at the natural waist, a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, the natural scapula position, a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. There's only one way, truly, the human body could ever work, because there is a neutral. Okay, a neutral 2 rotations. In the forearms, internal rotation, external rotation. The entire arm, internal rotation, external rotation. The lower leg, internal rotation, external rotation, and the entire leg, internal rotation, external rotation. All these things have a neutral straight out the pinky. Straight out the pinky finger is the neutral wrist, okay, with those thumbs pointing forward with our arms at our sides, or the thumbs pointing up with our arms bent at our elbows, okay. The pinky toes are straight forward when we have gripped arches, okay. In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique is one of our 2 prerequisites, in addition to just where clothing sits on the body, that we talk about for everyone, okay? It's just the only way the human feet are shaped. We're weaving ropes across the top of our feet, and there's only one way the mechanics of a gripped arch with bones connecting to bones through ligaments and tendons connecting muscles to the bones, right? A neutral pinky toe forward and up the neutral outward curvature of the lower leg into the hips, after we allow the knee to track in line in between there, and then up the spine to the shoulders and out to the elbows, forearms, and wrists and hands, up to the jaw, stabilizing the entire body. The feet are on the base of all this, right? Our feet are the most important thing. It starts at the feet. It always starts at the bottom, traveling up on Earth's gravity. So, you know, the importance of zero drop shoes, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Zero drop is the term, just meaning flat, heel to toe, as if our feet are actually on the earth, because that's the only way the body works mechanically. I mean, position wise, right? The angle of the ankle, okay? Always stop lacing at ankle flexion, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. The importance of even ankle flexion, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Hundreds. I could reference a lot more, but I'm just giving enough context that I feel I need to give in this one to get to what we're discussing. Excuse me, fence post. This video's title, I haven't said it yet, is The Importance of Tops. We've got a lot of the importance of even videos, right? The importance of even musculature insertion. Okay, so these videos are titled The Importance of Even, and then sternocleidomastoid insertions, lat insertions, the latissimus dorsi, Achilles tendon insertions, elbow extension. Yeah, okay, a lot of things. The pinky finger affects the entire body, which is also a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Anyway, all these things are, important. Those are some of our importance of even videos. The importance of even short sleeves. The importance of even forearm rotations. In this right-handed world, you know, we get into this patterning as human beings that is right-handed, because all of the musculature of our bodies connects to the center line. From the outside of the shoulder to the sternum, in the center, on both sides, the muscles contract evenly. From the outside of the shoulders to the spine in the center, in the rear, the muscles contract evenly. Okay, the human body only pulls. A video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Even in a push, we're actually pulling two endpoints of muscles together. Okay, all muscles only contract. So we've got things in modern day like stretch in clothing that didn't even exist decades ago. As of today's date, goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles work. Stretch. Never stretch your body. There's two sides to something. You stretch one way and now you've gone too far from the neutral from the other side. There's just two sides to every function in the body. Opposing muscles. Another video title under In the Image Clothing Company, but also just the case. That's how we have the closing of a joint and the opening of a joint, or the extending, opposing the contracting or closing, right? But it's a contraction on both sides. There's opposing muscles. The body can only ever do what it does. God designed it, we can't decide it, okay? So, we've got a lot of videos, the importance of blank, and a lot of them are the importance of even blank, right? Insert whatever it is in the blank, because we've got a lot. This video is specifically titled The Importance of Tops in general. Just being intentional to put importance on our tops. We've got things like the dreaded collar seam, right? The collars just need to sit around the circumference of our neck. There's a video I filmed in St. George, Utah, where we're actually based. I'm just up here in Utah County right now. And we live up Utah, so that's important for you to know if you want to know anything about In the Image Clothing Company. Really, is a lot of what we do is the state of Utah. And a big thing is our events. You know, we have a lot of events that we do. One of them is Poodle Parade events. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, and we'll get people into nature, dogs into nature, hang out down there in the desert, St. George, Utah. But we'll span Utah, you know, wherever we have events. Arizona and Nevada are right next to St. George, Utah. So, you know, we'll do what we do event-wise with dogs. I actually just got back from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. It's just a couple miles from where I am right here. And I was hanging out with dogs, man. I hung out with like 7 dogs probably. You know, I just took them outside on their dog runs. Just, you know, let the dogs get outside, because until they get adopted, they're just sitting in the kennel inside, you know. So you can take the dogs out, let them use the bathroom, and clean it up after they do. And also just give the dogs some attention, you know. And so, yeah, I hung out with a lot of dogs there, and there's some context. Okay, I've done that quite a few times here at the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter, and it's great. So that's a lot of what we do with In the Image Clothing Company poodles, is keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at home is because we breed purebred standard poodles and we register them properly and show how to and why that's important. Furthering good bloodlines of dogs and having genealogy of the dogs to, understand the health testing of the dogs, why we do it, and get down to healthy dogs to, just stick within the pure breeds. Even that, we advocate for purebred dogs because there's a lot of health reasons that mixed dog breeds are, as I say, right, a mutt is just a mutt. But I like them where I do, right? Mixed poodles can come to poodle parade events, but we just give context on why we say such bold statements at times. It's for the health of dogs, A lot of what we discuss is the height of dogs versus the height of owners. That's a big thing. I was taking different dogs outside, like I said, probably around 7 dogs here, just, I was only about a half hour ago from now. I was there, and I was there for a few hours. And that's a big reason why we have standard size, which is the big size poodles, is because I'm 6'2" tall. And if I'm trying to reach down to a short, small dog, it takes a toll on my body mechanically, okay? The body's just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. We talk about holding leashes naturally and interacting with our dogs as the owner so that our bodies don't get altered, okay? Keeping that neutral wrist while we do everything in life, really, but dogs, okay? It's a huge focus of what we are as one of our fourths to our whole company. In the Image Clothing Company poodles, and just the poodles themselves, we do so much with them. A lot of it's, similar to what people do with service animals and emotional support animals and therapy dogs. We'll get into a lot as and where we do, so there's some context. But when it comes to keeping collars centered, human being clothing and dog products under InTheImageClothingCompany.com will always have that centered collar intention. Okay, it has to be there. It has to. But we've got a seam often in our collars. In designs, it's just any time period, no matter the design, if there's just something different around the collar, in the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification. We have a lot of modifications. We have to modify a seam in the collar, okay? So yeah, when we talk about just the importance of tops in general, I've talked about keeping collars centered. We've got videos on it as of today's date. We've talked about the dreaded collar seam many times. It's even an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification. Your body dreads it, it's just damaging your whole body. And I've talked about what it does to the whole body when it just puts the collar off-centered. But for the sake of tops and just having a centered collar, it doesn't matter what it is, because button-ups, in the Image Clothing Company, button-up shirts will always be great, but even with a button-up design, you can still have a collar imbalanced. A button-up is a top. A t-shirt is a top. A long-sleeve t-shirt is a top, right? A sweater, a coat, a cardigan, a jacket, a hoodie. These things are all tops. Even dresses, the top part of it. It's tops and the importance of tops, why this is its own specific video, even though we've got videos talking about how sleeve cuffs affect body mechanics. The importance of the short sleeves, like I was saying, the importance of even short sleeves, which can come from the dreaded collar seam or just oversized clothing. We'll have uneven short sleeves, and that can alter our forearms rotations and then our whole body from there. We've got videos discussing collars, like I was saying, keeping tops waisted. There's so many videos we have under In the Image Clothing Company about tops and in different ways, things that are in our tops, design-wise, okay? Side seams. We don't want side seams right against our body's rib cage, if we can help it, because we need to breathe and expand our ribs 360 degrees, just all the way around. And if there's just a seam right down the sides of our ribs, well, it alters the way that our breathing happens. And also just with Earth's gravity, often that will really limit just the motion of our spine forward to back because these seams are just straight down the sides. And then what comes with it all the time is what is also another episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, because it's that important. In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, okay? We just show that where we do because we need even seams because there's a center to our body's rotations and just to our bodies vertically on Earth's gravity and just the torsion or the twisting of the spine, right, with all the vertebrae. We can't have rotated seams in any part of our clothing. I filmed a video here at Utah Lake about a week ago, actually, give or take. It was within the past, probably about a week ago from now, titled Rotated Clothing and Earth's Gravity. So much of it's Earth's gravity. And rotated clothing can come from things that aren't even just rotated seams, but just things that rotate in whatever way they could rotate, all right? There's a lot with tops. So the importance of tops is, well, a lot of these things, but why tops are so important, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was driving and I was thinking, everything is just as important as anything else, because the human body truly can only ever work activated as a whole. You can't just drag around dead weight. The core, check this out. I'm going to do this for a second. I know it's kind of like disruptive and noisy, but it's important to do. The core of the human being can never deactivate. Check this out. I don't have to try to activate my core to be able to hit my abdomen. I don't have to try to activate my core to try to lift something. The core is the center of the entire body. I've discussed it like this for months on In the Image Clothing Company podcast, I know for certain. And I've just said this many times where I have. The core of the body is like the core of an apple. You core an apple or take the seeds out of the center or the stem part of the apple, and the rest of it just withers away and dies. The core of the human being is just the center of the whole human being, top to bottom and just from the center out. It has to always work. But that's why when we talk about where clothing sits, you have to have your clothing sit. It's nothing to do with us, but just the only way that the human body could ever work. That's the thing. There's just only one position, mechanically, location-wise. It's about the angles that the seams sit and the pant waistline sit. The shoulder seams just placed on us with Earth's gravity. Shoe lacing, drawstrings, these are just ropes introduced to the body. So we don't have opinions on where we think you should put your clothing. It's nothing to do with fashion. There's only one way the human body could ever work, and that in itself isn't an opinion either. It's just the truth. So, anyway, the core is very important. What I'm saying, though, is the tops are one of the most important things we could ever put importance on, because, sure, the feet are the base foundation on Earth's gravity. And sure, the pant waistline is the pelvis positioning, which is going to go out through the entire body. And sure, anything and everything in clothing is essentially just as important as anything else because it's all there. But tops are your breathing. They are your arms motion, okay? They are your jaw. We put so much importance and focus on the jaw, the importance of even jaw musculature, the importance of the corners of the mouth, eating and drinking with the left hand, which really just means non-dominant side of your body to keep our jaws centered. We talk about how the ears are essentially the jaw, and we've got so many things nowadays that can alter the ears that never happened in the past. All right, so the importance of even ears. We just talk about the whole body, even in the face, the importance of even eyebrows, the importance of even nostrils, okay? Because a lot of times scar tissue will get built up in the face, and that's actually what causes the entire body to be out of balance, because our visual system from our eyes we're navigating life with, our jaw stabilizing our entire body, okay? Yeah, is in our head, physical skull. And so this is the big thing with tops. As you can see here, the musculature comes from the outside of the shoulder all the way up to the jaw, directly, okay? The shoulder is the jaw, directly, actually, legitimately. It's connected just like directly to the jaw, okay? So with our jaw stabilizing our entire body, with our jaw being our eating, our breathing as well, yes, the stabilization, and our speaking, whatever else we could say the jaw does, that's why the jaw is so important and we put so much focus on it. But the jaw will be directly determined by our tops. So the importance of tops in general, right? Just being intentional, as I said, about putting importance on tops that we wear. This is the thing. Your arm motion, we're doing everything in life basically with our hands. right? Anything we're touching outside of ourselves, if we have hands, we're using our hands to do it. Animals, like you think about a dog, it uses its mouth to grab things. We use our hands. But the hand is the shoulder. Really, the hand is the spine before we even get to the shoulder. And really, the hand is the feet before we even come up to the spine, because we're on Earth's gravity. Okay, the whole body. I'll wait for just a little bit of time for the airplane noise. The hand really is coming from the entire body, and we're just using our hands for so much, and that's being directly affected by our tops, right? Keeping sleeve cuffs where they need to be off the wrists, keeping short sleeves where they need to be off the forearms, keeping edge seams of our tops right at the very edges of our shoulders, keeping the top seams of our shoulders behind the peak of our shoulders evenly, because our shoulders only ever work behind our head, right? Where neck pain really comes from, yeah, a video I filmed in St. George, Utah, just a few weeks ago. Well, tops, you know, the importance of tops, neck pain, shoulder pain, forearm rotations being altered, the hand being altered, right? There is only one way the hands work. There is only one way the feet work. Videos on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, as well as those ones that I just referenced a minute ago here, that I also filmed down in St. George, Utah, just a couple weeks ago. And all of these things are coming from our tops, because it's the main part of our body, really, our torso. It is where the breathing's happening. It's where the spine is. All the motion in the rib cage, it just needs to naturally be there. It's our shoulders positioning in motion. It's our jaw directly. There's an airplane again. Our tops down at the tail end, or the shirt tail, are our hip hinge, okay, where our pelvis works. The tops are the entire body, essentially, because what'll happen is anything altering the body from our tops will travel clear to the extremities, out to the fingertips, down to the toes, and then up to the tip of the head. The same skin on all the body is the same skin on all of the body. And we talk about, you know, how, quote, oversized clothing makes life hard, with a capitalized HARD, right? It makes life so hard. Anyway, that's a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Oversized clothing makes life hard, okay? Because the skin on the top of your head is the same skin on the tip of your fingers or toes. And if we have oversized tops, it's pulling on the skin of all of our face and our head and our ears. We can't close our jaw, okay, because the jaw lifts to close. The skull doesn't move, but the lower jawbone swings down, okay? We talk about eating naturally, and a lot of those videos and just discussions, about eating are coming from your tops that you're wearing. On if you can eat well or not, you know, with your mouth closed, and if you can enunciate your words well, how clothing affects speaking. This is coming directly from tops. And so, in all the ways we can, we really need to be as intentional as we possibly can about our tops. But this is where In The Image Clothing Company comes in, because you wouldn't know. Things like the modifications we show, you wouldn't know you'd have to modify things just because if you purchase clothing that somebody designed to put on your body, it seems like it probably should just work to be put on your body. But there's a lot of things that we do have to modify just to allow our bodies to keep their center lines and their neutral positions and just their only workings on Earth's gravity, just being the mechanical machine that they are. And a lot of this is coming from tops. So anyway, there's the big focus, there's the big explanation, and a lot of discussion, a lot of videos referenced under In The Image Clothing Company about tops and why they're important and how it plays into everything else that we do through our whole bodies and our whole lives, really, because there's a lot to it that you couldn't really know unless you had the information, and that's why we're here to give the information about it. Because a lot of it too is just materials. Like I say, the stretch in clothing that just didn't even exist decades ago as of today's date. All the musculature that's keeping our scapulas in their normal position, that's keeping our collar bones at their normal position, that's keeping our neck having a centered, even collar around it that's keeping our shoulders evenly contracted into the body from each side, that's keeping our elbows at our natural waist and our wrist neutral and our hand arches there from all these other things, from the shoulder out to the hand, right? All of this, and the breathing ability of a human being, truly, right? The spine's neutral position, the pelvis's neutral position, even the feet's ability to grip arches. This is a lot of information. I'm kind of racing the sun. It's just about to drop down what we call West Mountain here. All of this and really just the entire body, and I get the airplane noise, I understand. This is all coming directly or indirectly, it's being directly affected, if that can be said like that, from tops. Okay, so we put so much focus, so much importance. Our second prerequisite, in addition to removing all tags, is the second prerequisite, in addition to in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. Tags in clothing, like stretch in clothing, are one of those things that didn't even exist just decades ago from today's date. And tags in clothing either cause a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just don't allow musculature to activate, and the human body can only ever work activated as a whole. So that's the point, is often we've got at least 2 locations where tags are very commonly placed at this time period in tops. In the rear of the collar, and then if there are side seams, it's usually the left side seam. There's a tag placed there if there are 2 tags or an additional tag to the one in the rear of the collar. And so that's the thing, is we've got so many things in our tops nowadays because of modern design, because of just materials that didn't exist in the past, and because of just, you know, like lack of knowledge of intentionality that needs to be had. That's the thing, is we talk about, you know, you can't be held accountable for what you don't know, and you just don't know what you don't know. But a lot of times we've just got designs that, even if it's a fairly centered design in ways, it's just got seams sitting in locations where the shoulders don't sit, you know, or it's just sitting on the body in ways that are just damaging the body. But if you don't know, you just don't know. So this is really what we do under In the Image Clothing Company. Really what we say often that we actually do, if we try to boil it down to one thing, is get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue here on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, because oversized clothing or imbalances in clothing, ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces, okay, and drawstrings just potentially rotating the entire body, get us into chronic patterning in our bodies, and scar tissue gets built up, and we just know how to get out of these patternings, and really we just need to know how to as human beings. Otherwise, your therapists could never help you. Your physical therapists, your personal trainers and your chiropractors, they can never help you if you go back straight into something with rotated seams or ropes or whatever it is, clothing that's damaging your body. It truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems. Oh, you didn't see those birds probably in the frame. I was like following the birds with my fingers. But there's no claim. I'd say the same thing if we never had a clothing company. It's just the only thing physically placed on us. Anything that clothes the human being, even jewelry or glasses, we get into it in depth, okay? We discuss the anatomy of the human body. So 1/4 of us in the Image Clothing Company music, a lot of what gets shown is the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter the neutral wrist, the rounding in our hands that correlates with our feet arches. I call these hand arches, okay? And a lot of that just comes in daily life with fingernails. That's one of the big things. Fully to the tips of the fingers and toes with the toenails, fully supporting the toes, and fingers cut relatively flat so we can stay in this neutral wrist position and not roll out of that neutral wrist. And yeah, that's a big thing just in general, is fingernails and toenails, and we just talk about that often. But music gets made. Lyricism, rhythm and poetry, spoken word, right, off the top type stuff like that, singing, guitar playing, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ, as we are under all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, there you go, In the Image Clothing Company music. So that's a little bit of all the 4 sides of us, and that's a lot of information really in this video. I said it pretty quickly, and I said a lot on the importance of tops. But keep in mind, like I say, I, Evan Strong, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, am in this for life. So I'll be here, we'll give more context and explanation. A lot of this is just time-stamped documentation, the 1st of December 2025, but a lot of it also is just context that you can always come back to if you can get to this video. Yeah, foundational stuff, right? We're only about 14 to 15 months into In the Image Clothing Company as of today's date. So, you know, we're just doing what we do as we do, and we'll do a lot where we're based down there in St. George, Utah, the very southernmost part of Utah, right on the border, in the desert, right on the tip of the Mojave Desert. It's beautiful, it's awesome. Stick around for the poodles. We'll have the poodles down there, our building down there, the team, In the Image Clothing Company's team will be there. We'll do a lot of events, and a lot of subcategories of things like poodle parade events as well, things for the environment, right? So just stick around. And I'm gonna not stick around out here all that much longer. It's actually pretty darn cold. It snowed yesterday here in Utah County. It gets a lot colder than it does down there in St. George, Utah, and Wasatch County. So, yeah. Washington County, sorry, yeah. Anyway, whatever county it is, that is the county, the Washington. But yeah, St. George, Utah. Okay, anyway, the point being, it's a lot of why we're based in St. George, Utah, is because we do so much outside. And as it gets colder up here, a lot of times it's pretty darn hard to even be out here in the weather at all. And all the things we do with our poodles and all the things that we do in nature, okay, with the goal being natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, and with a lot of what we do just being events to get people into nature. There's so many state parks and national parks and just beautiful scenery in general down there in St. George, Utah. But like I said, you know, we'll travel the state of Utah and just wherever we do as well when we do events. But there you go. It's cold. So I'm going to go get warmer than I am currently. Okay. Thank you. The importance of tops. More will come, more context. Check out In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Just in general, it's so great. That's me saying it, and it's like my podcast, right? But just check it out, because we give a lot of deep insights on life. You don't have to be religious, you don't have to believe in anything, but life is just what it is, and so we need to understand it if we're going to understand it, you know. We just talk about God as he says that he is, and we just don't do it perfect, but we sure do it, and I do it bold, right? I mean, like I say, blunt, bold, raw, and real, In the Image Clothing Company style. That's how we just approach what we do, is those four things, right? In just all that we do on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. So thank you. I'm not trying to cut this premature. I'm not trying to rush out of this. I am cold, but just know, as I say, you know, when I talk about things in these videos at this time period, there's so much that I haven't said in each video, and there's so much more that I could say in each video, but just giving a lot of context, a lot of documentation, and there is a lot that goes into tops. I'll talk about where clothing sits in this, okay? Pants for everybody, just mechanically on Earth's gravity, with the human body having a neutral, okay? The waistband sits entirely above the hips at what's called our natural waist, where we bend side to side at the spine, and slightly higher in the front than the rear, okay? And then we talk about the cuffs down at the other end, but waistline is the baseline. Wow, there you go, okay? Tops that we wear, there you go, the importance of tops. And I said it as I was discussing tops, but I'll say it clearly here as well. The seams on top of our shoulders need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Our shoulders just connect behind our head up to the very base of the rear of the skull and along the spine. So there's the top seams. Now the edge seams of our tops need to be as close as we can get, right to the very edge of the shoulders. It's a joint of materials, as well as it's a joint of the shoulder, the humerus, the clavicle, the scapula. We get really, really, really deep with our discussions of the anatomy of the body and just discuss it plainly and obviously. We all have a body. I say it like this: every body has one, right? So what we do is universal. Our information applies to all dogs, with letting dogs stay natural, except for anything that is very poodle specific. The information we give on the anatomy of the human body applies to everyone. Sure, I say there's a universal human design, but we obviously recognize, well, if it's not obvious, we do recognize and say it often, deformity, amputation, major surgery, birth defect, whatever it is, similar to these things that sets you apart a little bit or quite a bit, sure. But there's a universal human design that we need to get as close as we can to in all of our situations, because there truly is only one way God designed the baseline human being structure to work. We've all got our own unique situations, but you already know if you have something going on that you have to do all that you can, as we all do, to just get our bodies as close to their baseline as we can. That's really what we do here under In The Image Clothing Company. Today is the 1st of December, 2025. Shout out to the used shirt. Shout out to the American Red Cross. Just because it says that on the shirt, okay? There you go. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, in this for life. So stick around for the poodles and have a good time with us, because it'll be fun. Involve yourself. We got a lot of events we do. Thank you. Bye.